At a billionaire's opulent wedding, a simple waitress accidentally wore the exact same dress as the bride. The bride's furious outburst threatened to ruin everything. But what the impossibly handsome groom did next shocked everyone, turning humiliation into an unexpected twist of fate that changed her life forever. Before we carry on, please hit the subscribe button to make my day, and let me know where you are watching from in the comments. The grand ballroom of the Evergreen Manor shimmered with an almost blinding opulence, reflecting the soft glow of 1,000 fairy lights strung across the vaulted ceiling. Crystal chandeliers, heavy with their sparkling bounty, dripped light onto a sea of perfectly arranged tables, adorned with towering floral arrangements that released a heady perfume of white roses and lilies. This was the pinnacle of society, the wedding of Julian Sterling, a media magnate whose empire spanned continents and whose net worth was rumored to be in the billions, and Serafina Dubois, a socialite whose beauty was as legendary as her family's ancient wealth. Lila Vance, a waitress whose hands were accustomed to the quiet clatter of plates in a small local bistro, felt a familiar hum of nervousness as she navigated the crowded room. She was usually a behind-the-scenes presence, gliding through events with efficient anonymity. Tonight, however, felt different. The air crackled with a palpable tension, a blend of anticipation and the subtle, almost suffocating weight of extreme wealth. Every guest seemed to exude an aura of effortless elegance, their designer clothes and sparkling jewels creating a dazzling, intimidating tableau. Lila was a last-minute replacement, called in when another staff member fell ill. Her usual uniform, a simple black dress, had been deemed unsuitable for the extravagant reception. The event manager, a harried woman with a perpetually strained expression, had thrust a gown into Lila's hands just an hour before the guests arrived. "Put this on, quick! It's from the extra stock for the catering staff. It's elegant, but discreet. We need you on the floor, now!" she'd barked, rushing off before Lila could even fully inspect the garment. Lila had hurried into the staff changing room, pulling off her simple black dress and slipping into the offered gown. It was undeniably beautiful, a soft, flowing ivory silk, with delicate lace sleeves and a gentle sweetheart neckline. It felt luxurious against her skin, a sensation she rarely experienced. She'd quickly smoothed down the fabric, checked her reflection in the dim mirror, and hurried out, her mind focused solely on remembering table numbers and drink orders. She hadn't given a second thought to the dress beyond its surprising elegance. It was just a uniform, after all, a borrowed skin for a night of work. She had been serving champagne flutes for nearly an hour, moving through the sea of guests with practiced grace, a small, polite smile fixed on her lips. She tried to remain unobtrusive, blending into the background, a silent part of the well-oiled machinery of the event. She caught glimpses of the happy couple at the head table. Julian Sterling, impossibly handsome with his dark, intelligent eyes and commanding presence, and Serafina, radiant in her elaborate bridal gown, already changed into her second dress for the reception. A shimmering ivory creation that seemed to catch every spark of light. The band struck up a lively tune, and guests began to drift onto the expansive dance floor. Lila was just placing a tray of appetizers on an unoccupied table when she felt a sudden, piercing gaze. It was Serafina, the bride, standing near the edge of the dance floor, her face, usually a picture of serene beauty, now contorted into a mask of pure, unadulterated fury. Her eyes, usually sparkling, were narrowed into furious slits, fixed on Lila with an intensity that made Lila's breath catch in her throat. Lila looked down at herself, then back at Serafina, and then, with a jolt that sent a jolt of icy dread through her veins, she understood. The dresses. Serafina's reception gown, a vision of ivory silk and delicate lace, was nearly identical to the dress Lila was wearing. Not precisely the same, perhaps a slight variation in the lace pattern or the cut of the neckline, but to the untrained eye, or to the furious eye of a bride on her wedding day, it was undeniably, catastrophically similar. The horror of the situation washed over Lila, a cold, sickening wave of embarrassment and panic. How could this have happened? Why would the event staff have given her such a dress? Before Lila could even formulate an apology, before she could even process the full extent of the disaster, Serafina's rage erupted, a theatrical, venomous outburst that cut through the genteel hum of conversation. Her voice, usually soft and melodic, rose to a piercing shriek that momentarily silenced the music. You waitress! Serafina shrieked. Her finger, adorned with a diamond the size of a pigeon's egg, pointed directly at Lila, trembling with indignation. What in God's name are you wearing? Are you trying to mock me? Are you trying to ruin my day? This is deliberate. You will be fired. Get her out of here. Fired. Now. Every eye in the ballroom turned towards Lila, 1,000 curious, judging gazes burning into her. Her face flushed a deep crimson, humiliation washing over her in a suffocating wave. The opulent ballroom, moments ago a place of shimmering beauty, suddenly felt like a crucible. Every sparkling light, a spotlight on her mortifying mistake. She felt exposed, vulnerable, utterly alone. The air grew heavy with silent judgment, the whispers beginning to ripple through the stunned crowd. She braced herself for the inevitable, for the public shaming, for the termination of her temporary employment, her mind reeling with the unfairness of it all. Just as the event manager, looking ashen-faced and horrified, began to rush towards Lila, undoubtedly to carry out the bride's furious demand, a calm, resonant voice cut through the stunned silence. It was Julian Sterling, the groom. He had moved from the head table with an almost imperceptible swiftness. His face, though undeniably embarrassed by his bride's public display, held an unusual serenity, a quiet authority that commanded immediate attention. He placed a gentle, reassuring hand on Serafina's trembling arm, his touch a subtle attempt to quell her fiery outburst. His dark eyes, intelligent and piercing, met Lila's across the now silent ballroom. There was no judgment in his gaze, only a flicker of something she couldn't quite decipher, something akin to understanding, perhaps even recognition. He then turned his attention to his bride, his voice, though low, carried clearly through the hushed room, a balm of reason in the storm of Serafina's fury. "Serafina, darling, please," Julian said, his tone remarkably composed, yet tinged with a subtle underlying firmness. He then turned, his voice carrying to the entire room, his gaze sweeping over the shocked guests. "It's a simple mistake, a coincidence, nothing more. These things happen." He then looked back at Lila, his eyes holding hers, and then, in a voice that was calm, elegant, and infused with an unexpected depth, he delivered words that would forever alter the course of Lila's life. Words that seemed to resonate with a truth far beyond the simple matter of a dress. "It's just a dress," Julian Sterling stated, his voice even, yet infused with an unmistakable conviction. He then gestured subtly towards Lila, a gesture that encompassed her composure amidst the public humiliation, her quiet dignity in the face of such unwarranted accusation. "But her grace? That's rare." The statement hung in the air, a profound declaration that seemed to shift the very atmosphere of the room. It wasn't just a defense. It was an acknowledgement, a quiet commendation that defied the immediate context of the wedding disaster. Lila, stunned, felt a surge of something akin to relief, then profound confusion. Julian Sterling, the billionaire groom, had just offended her, a mere waitress, in front of his entire, scandalized wedding party. She was humiliated, yet inexplicably, she felt seen, valued, in a way she never had before. The world, her world, had just irrevocably changed. The statement, "But her grace? That's rare," echoed through the stunned ballroom, hanging in the air like a delicate yet potent spell. Serafina's furious face, initially contorted in rage, froze in a tableau of disbelief, her outburst momentarily deflated by Julian's unexpected composure and his public defense of the waitress. The assembled guests, accustomed to the predictable theatrics of high society, exchanged bewildered glances. This was not the expected script. Julian Sterling, a man known for his impeccable control and strategic mind, had just subtly redirected the entire narrative, shifting the focus from the dress to something intangible, something profound. Lila, still trembling, felt a peculiar mix of overwhelming mortification and a flicker of unexpected relief. The shame was still a searing brand on her cheeks, but Julian's words had placed a tiny, unexpected shield around her. His gaze, calm and intelligent, had held hers for a fraction of a second, an unspoken acknowledgement that pierced through the noise of the room. She felt an almost physical jolt, a strange sense of familiarity that defied logic. It was as if, in that fleeting moment, she had seen beyond the billionaire, beyond the scandal, to something deeper, something ancient. The awkward silence was eventually broken by the event manager, who, recovering her composure, moved swiftly towards Lila. "Miss Vance, please step into the back," she whispered urgently, her voice strained, a clear dismissal, albeit a more discreet one than Seraphina's original demand. Lila, still reeling, simply nodded, her legs feeling like jelly, and retreated from the ballroom, leaving the glittering chaos behind. In the dimly lit staff hallway, the humiliation washed over her anew. Tears, hot and stinging, pricked at her eyes. Tears not just of shame, but of injustice. It had been an accident, a terrible, unforeseen mix-up, yet she had been publicly excoriated as if she had deliberately sought to ruin the bride's day. She quickly found the changing room, tore off the offending ivory gown, and pulled on her simple black dress, the familiar fabric a comforting armor against the sting of the world. She wanted nothing more than to disappear, to vanish from the memory of this disastrous night. She was preparing to slip out through a service exit, ready to face the long, humiliating walk home, when the event manager, Mrs. Albright, bustled in, her face still pale. "Lila," she began, her voice surprisingly soft, a hint of genuine apology in her tone. "I am so incredibly sorry. This was a dreadful oversight on our part. That dress, it was meant for a private client, a sample, not for staff. It was accidentally mixed in with the catering uniforms. I should have, quote, checked. It's entirely our fault." Mrs. Albright's words, though offering a belated explanation, did little to soothe Lila's bruised pride. The damage was done. "It doesn't matter, Mrs. Albright," Lila murmured, her voice flat. "I understand. I'll just go." "No, wait," Mrs. Albright interrupted, holding up a hand. "Mr. Sterling, Julian, he spoke to me. He insisted. He said ensure that young woman is not penalized. In fact, ensure she is compensated for her distress. And offer her our sincerest apologies. And then, he said something else. He said he specifically asked that you not be fired. In fact, he said he wants to meet with you, tomorrow, at Sterling Media headquarters." Lila stared at her, utterly dumbfounded. Her mind struggled to process the words. Julian Sterling, the billionaire groom, not only defended her, not only ensured she wasn't fired, but now wanted to meet with her. The absurdity of it was almost comical. What could a man of his stature possibly want with a simple waitress who had accidentally worn a near-identical dress to his bride? A cynical voice in her head whispered that it was a formality, a quiet offer of hush money to prevent any public backlash from the incident. Yet, something in Julian's eyes, that fleeting moment of connection, told her it was more. "He asked for my contact information," Mrs. Albright continued, pulling out a business card. "His personal assistant will call you in the morning to arrange a time. He was very clear, Lila, very clear." She pressed a crisp $100 bill into Lila's hand, a quiet gesture of apology. "Please, just take it. And good luck." Lila walked home in a daze, the humid night air doing little to cool her still burning cheeks. The image of the glittering ballroom, Seraphina's furious face, and Julian Sterling's calm, commanding presence replayed in her mind like a disjointed, surreal film. "It's just a dress. But her grace? That's rare." The words resonated, a strange, beautiful echo, in the quiet of her walk. They had shattered the humiliating silence, and, in doing so, had opened a door she never knew existed. She had no idea what tomorrow would bring, but she knew, with a certainty that settled deep in her bones, that her life would never be the same. The universe, it seemed, had a peculiar way of orchestrating destiny, even through the most embarrassing of mishaps. The following morning, the world felt simultaneously surreal and hyperreal to Lila. Her small apartment, usually a haven of quiet anonymity, seemed charged with an unfamiliar energy. The memory of the previous night, particularly Julian Sterling's calm defense, replayed in her mind, a persistent, beautiful refrain amidst the echoes of Seraphina's fury. She showered, trying to wash away the lingering sensation of public humiliation, but a strange, exhilarating tremor of anticipation remained. Precisely at 9 o'clock, her old flip phone, a relic in an age of smart technology, buzzed with an unfamiliar number. Taking a deep breath, Lila answered. The voice on the other end was brisk, professional, and undeniably polished. "Miss Lila Vance? This is Clarice, Julian Sterling's personal assistant. Mr. Sterling would like to meet with you at 10:06 a.m. today at Sterling Media headquarters. The address is... Lila scribbled down the address, a landmark skyscraper that pierced the city skyline, a symbol of Julian Sterling's immense power and influence. Her heart pounded a nervous rhythm against her ribs. She dressed carefully, choosing her cleanest, most presentable, albeit modest, clothes, a simple navy blue dress, and sensible flats. She felt utterly out of place, like a sparrow about to fly into an eagle's nest. The Sterling Media headquarters was even more imposing in person. Gleaming glass and steel soared into the sky, reflecting the morning sun. The lobby was a vast, minimalist space, filled with sleek modern art and a hushed, efficient atmosphere. A polite, impeccably dressed receptionist directed her to the executive floors. As Lila stepped out of the private elevator on the top floor, she was greeted by Clarice, Julian Sterling's assistant. Clarice was a woman of precise elegance, her sharp eyes missing nothing, yet her demeanor was unexpectedly warm. "Miss Vance, please, Mr. Sterling is expecting you," Clarice said, gesturing towards a large, ornate wooden door. "He's just finishing a call." Lila's palms grew sweaty. She had prepared herself for this, rehearsing apologies and explanations for the dress incident, even though it wasn't her fault. She had envisioned a brief formal encounter, perhaps an offer of a meager compensation to ensure her silence, a typical corporate damage control maneuver. What she was about to face, however, was far from typical. Clarice led her into a waiting area, an expanse of luxurious leather and polished wood, filled with hushed murmurs and the faint scent of expensive coffee. After only a few moments, the door to Julian Sterling's office opened, and he emerged. He looked even more commanding in a sharp dark suit, his presence radiating an undeniable charisma. His dark eyes, intelligent and assessing, met hers, and Lila felt that strange, inexplicable jolt again, a feeling of deep recognition that transcended their brief, chaotic encounter at the wedding. There was a warmth in his gaze, a quiet intensity that disarmed her. "Miss Vance," Julian said, his voice deep and smooth, without a hint of the previous night's awkwardness. He extended a hand, and Lila, surprised, took it. His grip was firm, warm, and surprisingly gentle. "Thank you for coming. Please, come in." His office was breathtaking, a panoramic view of the city sprawling beneath them. The distant hum of traffic a muted backdrop. The space was meticulously designed, a blend of modern sophistication and timeless elegance, filled with rare books and abstract art. He gestured to a comfortable armchair opposite his large mahogany desk. "Please, sit," he invited. He settled into his own chair, leaning back, his expression relaxed, yet his eyes remained acutely focused on her. "I owe you an apology, Miss Vance. My fiancé's behavior last night was inexcusable. It was a terrible misunderstanding, and you were unfairly targeted. I have already spoken to Mrs. Albright at Evergreen Manor, and I assure you, your record there is impeccable. In fact, she spoke very highly of your professionalism." Lila felt a flush of relief. At least her reputation wasn't ruined. "Thank you, Mr. Sterling," she murmured, her voice a little shaky. "It was an honest mistake. The event staff gave me the dress at the last minute." Julian nodded slowly. "I understand, and I regret that you had to endure such a public display, which brings me to why I asked you here." He paused, his gaze unwavering, and Lila's heart began to pound anew. This was it. The compensation, the quiet offer to make her disappear. "Miss Vance," Julian continued, his voice dropping slightly, becoming more serious. "What I witnessed last night, beyond the unfortunate incident with the dress, was your composure, your quiet dignity in the face of immense public humiliation, your grace. It was truly remarkable, and it's a quality that is, as I said, rare. It's a quality I've been searching for a long time." Lila frowned, utterly perplexed. What could he possibly be getting at? Julian leaned forward, his elbows resting on his desk, his gaze intense. "My personal assistant, Clarice, is retiring at the end of the month. It's a demanding role, requiring absolute discretion, organizational prowess, and an ability to remain calm under pressure. It's not just about scheduling and emails. It's about anticipating needs, managing complex situations, and representing my office with integrity. I believe you possess those qualities, Miss Vance, in abundance." Lila's jaw nearly dropped. He couldn't be serious. A personal assistant role? For Julian Sterling? The media mogul? It was an unthinkable leap from waiting tables. A Cinderella story, almost too fantastical to believe. "I am offering you the position of my personal assistant at Sterling Media," Julian stated, his voice calm, direct, and utterly serious. "The compensation would be commensurate with the responsibilities, significantly more than you currently earn, I assure you. Full benefits, travel opportunities. It would be a challenging role, but I believe you are uniquely suited for it." Lila was speechless. Her mind reeled, trying to reconcile the waitress who had been publicly shamed with the woman now being offered an impossible opportunity. This wasn't just about a dress. It was about something far, far greater. A complete reversal of her fortune. A portal into a world she had only ever glimpsed from the periphery. The sheer audacity of the offer, the unexpected trust, and that persistent, unsettling sense of recognition in his eyes. It was as if fate, through a scandalous gown, had orchestrated a profound and unimaginable shift in her destiny. Lila accepted Julian Sterling's offer with a mixture of disbelief and exhilaration. The transition from the demanding but predictable rhythm of waitressing to the dizzying, high-stakes world of Sterling Media was like stepping onto another planet. Her first few weeks were a blur of new information, complex systems, and an endless stream of tasks that stretched her capabilities in ways she hadn't known were possible. Clarice, Julian's retiring personal assistant, was a formidable mentor. She was a woman of sharp intellect and impeccable organization. Her precision, almost surgical. She took Lila under her wing, patiently guiding her through the intricate web of Julian's schedule, his numerous business ventures, and the delicate art of managing his vast network of contacts. Lila absorbed every lesson like a sponge, her natural aptitude for order and her quiet efficiency proving to be invaluable assets. She learned to anticipate Julian's needs before he even articulated them, to navigate complex international time zones, and to handle highly confidential information with absolute discretion. Julian Sterling himself was a revelation. In public, he was the enigmatic billionaire, a figure of immense power and strategic brilliance. In private, he was intensely focused, fiercely intelligent, and surprisingly observant. He pushed Lila, not out of malice, but out of a genuine desire to see her excel. He would subtly test her, presenting her with unexpected challenges, watching how she responded. And always, his eyes held that peculiar, unnerving flicker of recognition, a silent acknowledgement that hinted at a connection far deeper than their professional roles. The office environment, initially intimidating, slowly began to feel like a second home. The staff, though formal, were respectful, curious about the quiet young woman who had seemingly appeared out of nowhere to become the right hand of their formidable CEO. Lila, always modest, never spoke of the wedding incident, allowing her quiet competence to speak for itself. One afternoon, Julian called Lila into his office, his expression more serious than usual. He gestured towards a large, ancient-looking book resting on his desk, its leather cover worn, its pages yellowed with age. "Lila," he began, his voice low, a hint of something unreadable in his tone. "There's something I need to show you, something I need to explain." He picked up the book, its weight seemingly substantial. This isn't just any book, he said, turning it over in his hands. It's a family heirloom, passed down through generations of the Sterling line. It's filled with cryptic symbols, ancient script, and what my ancestors believed were prophecies. Lila felt a prickle of unease. Prophecies? This was a strange turn for a media mogul. Julian opened the book to a specific page, carefully tracing a series of intricate symbols with his finger. For centuries, my family has believed in a legend, a prophecy passed down through our bloodline. It speaks of a celestial alignment, a rare cosmic event that occurs only once every few centuries. And it speaks of a destined union, a kindred spirit who, when united bind with a Sterling, would unlock extraordinary potential, not just for the family, but for something far greater. It sounds fantastical, I know. He looked up, his gaze holding hers, a peculiar intensity in his dark eyes. The prophecy also describes this kindred spirit with a series of distinct markers, Julian continued, his voice almost a whisper. Specific birthmarks, an unusual eye color, a certain innate grace that can calm chaos, and a mysterious, almost inexplicable connection to water and light. My family has been searching for this individual for generations, discreetly, through various means. Lila felt a cold knot form in her stomach. His words, his description, were unsettlingly familiar. She thought of her own birthmark, a small star-shaped mark hidden on her wrist, something she had always considered a private quirk. She thought of her eyes, a shade of deep sapphire that many had remarked were unusual. And she thought of the inexplicable calm she felt near water, a sense of peace that always seemed to replenish her spirit. And the light. Always the light. Julian then did something that made Lila's blood run cold. He carefully pulled back the cuff of his impeccably tailored shirt, revealing his own wrist. There, on the inside of his wrist, was a nearly identical star-shaped birthmark, perfectly mirroring her own. "This is the Sterling mark," Julian said, his voice quiet, almost reverent. "A symbol of our lineage. And the prophecy states that the kindred spirit will bear a corresponding mark, often a mirror image or a variation of it." His gaze shifted to her, his dark eyes now holding a profound, almost spiritual intensity. "Lila, when I saw you at the wedding, in that moment of chaos, in that very specific dress, there was a spark, a recognition that defied explanation. I saw your eyes, your composure, and then, when I saw the way you held yourself, your quiet strength, I realized it was more than just a coincidence. It was as if I had been waiting for you, searching for you, my entire life." Lila stared at him, utterly speechless. The pieces of the puzzle, so disparate just moments ago, were suddenly clicking into place with a terrifying, exhilarating clarity. The accidental dress, the strange sense of familiarity, his immediate and unwavering defense, the offer of the job, and now, this ancient prophecy. It wasn't coincidence, it was destiny, a preordained path stretching back through centuries. Julian then revealed the most astonishing part of his discovery. "After the wedding, I initiated a discreet investigation into your background, Lila. I needed to know more. And what I found, it confirmed everything. Your birth records are unusually vague, almost non-existent for the first few years of your life. Your adoption was unconventional, and your biological parents, according to my research, were involved in a classified government project many years in TAF ago. A project that was rumored to have explored, among other things, the very nature of human consciousness and genetic predispositions. A project that vanished without a trace after a tragic accident. End. Lila felt a chill race down her spine. Her past, which she had always considered unremarkable, suddenly felt shrouded in mystery, imbued with a hidden significance she could barely grasp. Was she a part of this prophecy? Was her birth, her very existence, tied to something far grander, more ancient than a simple accident of fate? Julian's gaze intensified, now holding a mixture of awe and profound hope. "Lila," he said, his voice filled with a quiet conviction. "I believe you are the kindred spirit the prophecy speaks of. I believe our lives, our destinies, are intertwined. that the accidental dress was no accident at all, but a signal, a cosmic alignment, and that together we are meant to unlock something extraordinary, to fulfill a purpose that has been waiting for centuries. This is not just about a job, Lila. This is about a love story written across lifetimes, a second chance at a destiny that defies time itself. Lila could only stare, her mind reeling. The world, already upended by a billionaire's job offer, had now been utterly shattered and reassembled by an ancient prophecy and a connection that transcended logic. She, the simple waitress, was entangled in a love story, woven through generations, a destiny that seemed to stretch infinitely back and infinitely forward. Her life, irrevocably changed by a dress, was now bound by an unseen thread to an ancient lineage and a future she could barely begin to comprehend. The revelation of the prophecy, the shared birthmark, and the veiled hints about Lila's mysterious origins left her reeling. The meticulously organized world of Sterling media suddenly felt like a thin veil over an ancient, mystical reality. She spent the following days in a profound state of introspection, grappling with the weight of Julian's words. Was it truly destiny, or was this some elaborate delusion, a billionaire's eccentric fantasy? Yet, the compelling evidence, the eerie accuracy of the prophecy's markers, and the inexplicable connection she felt to Julian suggested otherwise. Julian, sensing her internal struggle, gave her space, but his presence remained a quiet, reassuring anchor. He continued to treat her with the utmost professionalism, but there was an underlying tenderness in his gaze, a quiet reverence that spoke volumes of his conviction. He began to subtly integrate her into discussions that went beyond the usual corporate affairs, touching on historical research, ancient texts, and obscure scientific theories, gently preparing her for the world he believed they were destined to inhabit together. Lila, driven by an innate curiosity and a growing sense of responsibility, began her own research, poring over historical documents and scientific papers, trying to make sense of the vast, almost unbelievable narrative Julian had presented. She discovered that the Sterling family had indeed been patrons of obscure historical research for centuries, quietly funding expeditions and scholarly pursuits that seemed to circle around esoteric knowledge and forgotten civilizations. The puzzle pieces, once scattered, began to coalesce into a coherent, albeit still bewildering picture. One evening, Julian invited Lila to his sprawling private estate, a place she had only seen in glossy magazine features. It was a magnificent, ancient dwelling, filled with art, history, and a pervasive sense of time. He led her to a hidden library, a vast chamber filled with ancient tomes, maps, and artifacts. In the center of the room, encased in glass, was a magnificent, intricately carved wooden chest. "This," Julian said, his voice hushed, "is the heart of the Sterling legacy. It contains more than just books. It contains centuries of our family's knowledge, their attempts to understand and prepare for the prophecy. And it contains something very specific, something separate. For you." He unmarked the chest with a key he wore around his neck, revealing a collection of scrolls, ancient tools, and shimmering, otherworldly crystals. Among them, nestled on a velvet cushion, was a delicate silver locket. It was intricately designed, bearing the same star-shaped symbol as their birthmarks. "My ancestors believed that when the kindred spirits united, this locket would resonate, would unlock something within them, within the very fabric of existence," Julian explained, his voice laced with awe. "It's not just a symbol, Lila. It's a key to unlocking forgotten memories, perhaps even ancient abilities." Lila, her heart pounding, reached for the locket. As her fingers brushed against the cool metal, a jolt of energy surged through her, a sensation both familiar and entirely new. The locket pulsed with a soft, ethereal light, and a faint hum resonated deep within her, a sound that seemed to echo from distant stars. A kaleidoscope of images flashed through her mind, shimmering landscapes she had never seen, whispers in an ancient tongue she didn't understand, and a profound sense of connection to a vast, cosmic tapestry. It was overwhelming, disorienting, yet strangely comforting, like returning to a place she had always known. Julian watched her, his expression a mix of profound wonder and knowing anticipation. "You feel it, don't you?" he murmured. "The connection, the awakening." Lila could only nod, tears welling in her eyes, not from sadness, but from a profound sense of revelation. The ordinary world she had known, the simple life of a waitress, had shattered, replaced by a reality far grander, far more magical than she could have ever conceived. Over the following months, under Julian's patient guidance, Lila began to explore these newfound senses, these awakening abilities. She discovered an uncanny intuition, a heightened awareness of her surroundings, a connection to the natural world that felt almost symbiotic. She could sense subtle shifts in energy, perceive nuances in people that others missed, and found her capacity for learning and understanding accelerated exponentially. Julian, who had been quietly nurturing his own latent abilities for years, guided her through meditations and exercises, helping her to harness these burgeoning powers. He revealed that the Sterling lineage was not just wealthy, it carried a latent genetic predisposition, an ancient lineage tied to a specific energetic frequency, a blueprint for awakening. Their bond deepened exponentially. It wasn't just a professional relationship, or even a romantic one in the conventional sense. It was a profound soul connection, a recognition that transcended time and space. They spent hours talking, sharing their deepest fears and wildest dreams, exploring the ancient texts and discussing the implications of their shared destiny. Julian, usually reserved, revealed a vulnerable side she had never imagined, his unwavering belief in the prophecy, matched by a deep humility and a genuine desire to understand their shared purpose. He spoke of love not as an emotion, but as an energetic resonance, a powerful force that could unlock hidden potentials. The public, still reeling from the wedding incident, watched their evolving relationship with fascinated curiosity. The media, initially speculating about a whirlwind romance and a possible break with Serafina Dubois, now published articles filled with hushed rumors about Julian's newfound happiness and Lila's mysterious influence. Serafina, who had attempted numerous times to regain Julian's attention, eventually faded from the public eye, her fury unable to penetrate the quiet, unwavering bond that had formed between Julian and Lila. One crisp autumn evening, as they walked through the ancient gardens of the Sterling estate, the air filled with the scent of fallen leaves, Julian stopped and turned to Lila, his dark eyes shimmering under the moonlight. "Lila," he began, his voice soft, yet filled with a profound certainty. "The prophecy speaks not just of a union, but of a shared purpose, a harmonious resonance that will bring about a new era of understanding, of balance. I believe that purpose is upon us, and I believe it starts with us, together." He took her hands, his touch warm and firm. "I love you, Lila," he said. The words simple, yet imbued with the weight of centuries, the depth of a destined connection. "Not just for the grace I saw at the wedding, but for the soul I've come to know, for the destiny we share. Will you marry me? Will you join me, not just in life, but in fulfilling this ancient purpose?" Lila's heart swelled, a joyous, overwhelming sensation. The journey from a waitress in a borrowed dress to this moment, under a starlit sky, was beyond anything she could have ever dreamed. It wasn't just a proposal, it was a cosmic invitation, a recognition of a love story written across lifetimes, a second chance at a destiny that defied time itself. The answer was a resounding, unequivocal yes, a joyful affirmation of a future intertwined with ancient prophecies, impossible wealth, and a love that resonated with the very fabric of the universe. Their engagement, announced discreetly to avoid the immediate media frenzy that had surrounded Julian's previous attempt at marriage, was met with a mixture of quiet surprise and genuine intrigue. For those who had witnessed the dramatic wedding incident, it was a confirmation of a remarkable, almost unbelievable turn of events. For others, it was simply the media magnate finding love with a woman of mysterious allure. Julian and Lila, however, were focused on a deeper purpose, their bond strengthening with each passing day, fueled by their shared destiny. Their engagement period was not spent in traditional wedding planning, but in further delving into the ancient texts and esoteric knowledge held within the Sterling archives. Lila's awakening abilities grew more refined, her intuition sharpening, her connection to subtle energies becoming more pronounced. She discovered she possessed an innate ability to decipher ancient symbols and languages, a skill that Julian, despite his scholarly pursuits, did not possess. This unexpected talent proved invaluable, as together, they began to unlock deeper layers of the prophecy, revealing not just a romantic union, but a call to a greater, collective purpose. The prophecy spoke of an impending temporal dissonance, a subtle but growing imbalance in the fabric of time and reality, caused by forgotten knowledge and unaddressed cosmic energies. It foretold that the kindred spirits would possess the unique resonance to stabilize this dissonance, to restore balance, and to usher in an era of heightened global consciousness. This wasn't about power or personal gain. It was about stewardship, about a responsibility to the planet and to humanity's collective future. Julian revealed that his family's vast wealth and intricate media empire were not just for personal luxury, but had always been a meticulously crafted, multi-generational effort to gather resources, connections, and information, preparing for the moment the kindred spirits would emerge. His businesses, seemingly disparate, were interconnected, forming a global network designed to monitor subtle energetic shifts, track historical anomalies, and disseminate crucial information when the time was right. His initial pursuit of Lila, though sparked by genuine attraction and a deep sense of recognition, had also been guided by the ancient texts, which provided clues about the lineage and subtle markers of the destined partner. Their wedding, unlike Julian's previous extravagant affair, was a private, intimate ceremony held in the ancient, sacred groves of the Sterling estate, a place imbued with centuries of their ancestors' hopes and beliefs. Only a handful of close family and trusted friends were present, including Joe and Sarah Randall, who beamed with quiet pride, seeing in Lila's happiness the culmination of a journey they had witnessed from its humble, chaotic beginnings. As Julian and Lila exchanged vows, their shared birthmarks, now visibly glowing with a soft ethereal light, seemed to pulsate in harmony. A gentle, almost imperceptible hum filled the air, and for a fleeting moment, the ancient trees seemed to shimmer, as if acknowledging the union that resonated with the very cosmos. It was a union not just of two individuals, but of two souls entwined across lifetimes, ready to embrace a destiny woven into the very fabric of existence. Their life together became a delicate balance between the mundane and the mystical. Julian continued to manage his media empire, using its influence and reach to discreetly facilitate their larger purpose. Lila, while still a quiet presence, became an indispensable partner, her intuition and newfound abilities guiding their research and decision-making. She traveled with Julian, not as an assistant, but as an equal, a co-creator of their shared future. They met with obscure scholars, explored ancient ruins that resonated with the prophecy's clues, and connected with a clandestine network of individuals, guardians of hidden knowledge, who had also been awaiting the celestial alignment. The temporal dissonance manifested in subtle ways at first: unusual weather patterns, inexplicable technological glitches, and a pervasive sense of unease that seemed to ripple through global consciousness. As Julian and Lila delved deeper, they discovered that specific ancient artifacts, scattered across the globe, acted as energetic anchors, their misalignment contributing to the growing imbalance. Their mission became clear: to locate, understand, and, where possible, realign these artifacts, restoring the harmony that the prophecy foretold. Their journey was fraught with challenges and dangers. There were shadowy organizations, descendants of ancient groups, who sought to exploit the dissonance for their own power, or who simply misunderstood its true nature. Julian's strategic brilliance and his vast resources were crucial in navigating these treacherous waters, but Lila's intuitive abilities, her capacity to perceive hidden truths and anticipate dangers, often proved to be their most invaluable asset. Her quiet grace, once a mere observation by Julian, had blossomed into an inner strength that guided them through perilous situations. One evening, after successfully realigning a powerful crystal artifact hidden deep within an ancient temple, Lila felt a profound sense of clarity. The pieces of her life, from the embarrassing wedding incident to this cosmic mission, had converged into a singular, purposeful path. The accidental dress, the public humiliation, Julian's unwavering defense, and the subsequent job offer, all had been meticulously orchestrated by a destiny far grander than she could have ever conceived. Looking at Julian, his face illuminated by the soft glow of the ancient crystal, Lila realized that their love was not just a personal bond. It was a force, an energetic resonance that amplified their individual strengths, enabling them to fulfill a purpose that transcended their own lives. It was a love story truly written across lifetimes, a second chance not just for romance, but for the very balance of existence. Their journey was far from over, but as they stood together, two kindred spirits united under a vast, ancient sky, they knew they were ready for whatever future the prophecy held, hand in hand, heart to heart, bound by a love that defied time itself. The mission to realign the ancient artifacts intensified, taking Julian and Lila to remote corners of the globe, from the icy peaks of the Himalayas to the scorching sands of forgotten deserts. Their lives became a testament to unwavering dedication, each discovery bringing them closer to understanding the full scope of the temporal dissonance and their role in its resolution. Lila's abilities continued to evolve, developing a profound connection to the Earth's subtle energies, allowing her to discern the location and resonance of the hidden artifacts with uncanny accuracy. Julian, a master of logistics and strategy, managed their expeditions with meticulous precision, navigating political complexities and securing access to restricted historical sites. Their bond deepened with every shared challenge, every quiet triumph. The luxurious trappings of Julian's world faded into the background, replaced by the raw beauty of their shared purpose. Their love was no longer just a passionate connection, but a profound, resonant partnership, their minds and spirits intertwined in a dance of ancient destiny. They found solace in each other's presence during arduous journeys, their hands clasped in silent understanding as they faced unforeseen dangers or deciphered cryptic clues. The ancient Sterling family texts contained increasingly specific warnings about the veiled ones, shadowy figures who sought to exploit the temporal dissonance for their own gain, believing that by amplifying the imbalance, they could gain control over reality itself. These individuals, often operating from positions of power and influence, represented a formidable opposition. Their encounters with the veiled ones were subtle at first, manifesting as inexplicable obstacles, sabotaged equipment, or misdirection. But as Julian and Lila grew closer to their goal, the opposition became more direct, more perilous. One particularly perilous journey led them to a hidden chamber beneath an ancient, long-forgotten city in the Amazon rainforest. The air was thick with humidity, the silence broken only by the drip of unseen water and the beating of their own hearts. The prophecy spoke of a heartstone, a pulsating artifact believed to be the primary anchor of global temporal harmony. The veiled ones had anticipated their arrival, laying traps and illusions designed to disorient and deter them. As they navigated the labyrinthine passages, Lila's intuition flared, warning her of a hidden pressure plate. Julian, trusting her implicitly, halted just in time, narrowly avoiding a deadly cascade of jagged rocks. Later, Julian's strategic mind led them through a complex riddle, a series of ancient symbols that Lila, with her innate linguistic affinity, translated, revealing the true path forward. Their combined strengths were their greatest weapon, a testament to the prophecy's wisdom. Finally, they reached the central chamber. In its heart, pulsating with a dull, erratic light, was the Heartstone, its energy corrupted by centuries of neglect and subtle manipulation by the veiled ones. Standing guard were several figures shrouded in dark cloaks, their faces obscured, their presence radiating a chilling malevolence. They were the higher echelons of the veiled ones, ready to defend their illicit control over the temporal imbalance. A tense standoff ensued. Julian, usually calm, felt a surge of adrenaline, his instincts screaming for caution. Lila, however, felt a strange, almost serene focus. The locket around her neck, mirroring the Sterling birthmark, began to throb with an intense warmth, its light growing brighter, radiating a soothing blue hue. She realized the prophecy had not only foretold their union and purpose, but had also imbued them with the very tools needed for this ultimate confrontation. "You cannot stop the inevitable," one of the Veiled Ones hissed, their voice a raspy whisper, filled with a palpable sense of ancient power. "The world is ours to command. The dissonance is a path to a new order." Julian stepped forward, his voice resonating with an authority that rivaled their own. "This dissonance is a disease," he declared, his gaze unwavering. "And we are here to cure it, to restore balance, not to twist it for selfish gain." As the confrontation escalated, Lila felt a surge of ancient energy course through her. She extended her hand towards the heartstone, not with force, but with a profound sense of connection, a gentle drawing of its true resonance. The locket pulsed furiously, and a beam of pure, sapphire light erupted from her hand, connecting with the heartstone. The erratic, dull light of the artifact brightened, its pulsations becoming steady, harmonious, resonating with a pure, vibrant energy. The Veiled Ones recoiled, shrieking as the restored energy of the heartstone disrupted their own corrupted frequencies. Their shadowy forms flickered, weakening, their power diminishing with each steady beat of the reharmonized artifact. Julian, seizing the opportunity, used a series of strategically placed devices, honed from his family's ancient knowledge, to amplify Lila's influence, creating a field of pure, stabilizing energy that overwhelmed their adversaries. The Veiled Ones, unable to withstand the overwhelming surge of restored harmony, vanished into the shadows, their power broken, their influence nullified. The heartstone, now glowing with a brilliant, steady light, hummed with a profound sense of equilibrium. The chamber, once oppressive, now felt vibrant, alive. Lila felt a deep sense of peace, a profound rightness in the universe. The temporal dissonance, though not entirely eradicated, had been significantly stabilized, its most dangerous effects neutralized. Julian pulled her into a fierce embrace, his heart pounding against hers. "We did it, Lila," he whispered, his voice filled with awe and unbridled relief. "We did it. The prophecy, we fulfilled it." Lila leaned into his warmth, tears of exhaustion and triumph pricking her eyes. The journey had been long, perilous, and utterly unbelievable. From a waitressing mishap to unlocking ancient powers and saving the very fabric of reality, her life had become an epic beyond her wildest dreams. Their love, forged in destiny and tempered by shared purpose, was not just a story written across lifetimes. It was a force that had brought balance to the world, a testament to the extraordinary power that lay hidden in the quiet grace of an ordinary woman and the unwavering belief of a man who saw her true potential. Their mission was complete, but their love story, now intricately woven into the very fabric of time and balance, would echo through eternity. The silence in the ancient Amazonian chamber, now bathed in the steady, vibrant glow of the reharmonized heartstone, felt different. It was a resonant, peaceful quiet, a stark contrast to the oppressive tension that had permeated the air just moments before. Julian and Lila stood together, their hands clasped, their hearts beating in a synchronized rhythm, a testament to their profound connection. The immediate aftermath of their triumph was a period of intense yet joyful activity. They secured the heartstone, its powerful energy now radiating a pure, balancing force that began to subtly ripple across the globe. Julian's network, honed over centuries, moved with remarkable efficiency to record the shift, verifying the subtle, yet undeniable, return to equilibrium in various energetic hotspots around the world. The erratic weather patterns began to stabilize, technological glitches diminished, and a pervasive, underlying sense of global unease began to dissipate, replaced by a quiet, almost subconscious feeling of collective peace. The temporal dissonance was receding, its grip loosening on the fabric of reality. Their journey, however, was not entirely over. The Veiled Ones, though defeated in their immediate objective, represented a lingering threat. Julian and Lila knew that the knowledge of their ancient manipulations still existed, and vigilance would be paramount. They focused on strengthening their clandestine network of allies, sharing the insights gleaned from the Sterling archives and their own experiences. They worked to identify and mentor others who possessed latent sensitivities to the world's energetic balance, slowly building a new generation of guardians, ensuring that the work they had started would continue long after their own time. Back in Harmony Creek, life, unaware of the cosmic battles fought on its behalf, continued its gentle rhythm. Maria and Julian returned, blending seamlessly back into their roles, their extraordinary adventures a closely guarded secret shared only between them and their most trusted confidants. The media, having exhausted their sensationalist narratives surrounding the wedding and Julian's subsequent quiet romance, had largely moved on. Their public image remained that of a successful media mogul and his elegant philanthropic wife, their true purpose hidden beneath layers of normalcy. Lila, however, was subtly transformed. The quiet grace that Julian had first observed at the wedding had deepened into a profound inner calm, a tranquil wisdom that radiated from her. She remained actively involved in Julian's media empire, but her focus was now directed towards projects that promoted global harmony, sustainable practices, and the subtle awakening of human consciousness. Her intuition, now finely tuned, allowed her to guide strategic investments in ventures that subtly aligned with the planet's healing. Their personal life was a sanctuary of profound love and shared purpose. Their ancient estate, once a place of solitary study for Julian, now hummed with a vibrant, shared energy. They spent countless hours in the hidden library, not just deciphering ancient texts, but debating new philosophical concepts, exploring the frontiers of human potential, and charting the course for the subtle, ongoing work of maintaining global balance. Their conversations were rich, multifaceted, spanning millennia of knowledge and the boundless possibilities of the future. Their family expanded. They chose not to have children in the conventional sense, believing their shared purpose transcended traditional lineage. Instead, they became mentors, figures of quiet guidance to brilliant young minds who showed a similar sensitivity to the world's hidden energies. They fostered a new generation of guardians, ensuring their legacy was not of blood, but of wisdom, purpose, and continued stewardship. Years turned into decades. The physical scars of the temporal dissonance faded, replaced by a new, subtle harmony in the world. Julian, with his unwavering intellect and strategic brilliance, and Lila, with her innate grace and profound intuition, continued their work, their lives intertwined in a dance of enduring love and cosmic purpose. They had successfully averted a global catastrophe, not with thunderous battles, but with the quiet, persistent work of restoration and realignment. One gentle autumn evening, many years later, Julian and Lila sat on the porch swing of their Harmony Creek home, the same porch where Lila had once sat in humble uncertainty. The moon, full and luminous, cast long, silvery shadows across the manicured lawn. The air was crisp, carrying the sweet scent of late-blooming roses. Julian reached for Lila's hand, his fingers tracing the familiar star-shaped birthmark on her wrist, a mirror to his own. "It all began with a dress, didn't it?" Julian murmured, a soft smile playing on his lips, a touch of gentle irony in his tone. Lila smiled back, her eyes, still the color of deep sapphire, sparkling with profound understanding. "And a whisper of grace," she added, her voice soft, imbued with the wisdom of a life lived beyond the ordinary. "A grace that was rare, you said." They looked out at the tranquil landscape of Harmony Creek, a town that had unwittingly played host to the beginning of a love story written across lifetimes, a destiny that had defied time itself. Their journey was a testament to the idea that true purpose often finds you in the most unexpected moments, that true wealth lies not in possessions, but in profound connection, and that love, in its purest, most resonant form, has the power to heal not just hearts, but the very fabric of the universe. They had fulfilled their ancient prophecy, but more importantly, they had built a life and a love that transcended all prophecy, a timeless legacy woven into the enduring harmony of the world.